They always tell you there's a catch, a compromise, an asterisk. Sprite Zero Sugar? It's different. It's the lemon lime flavored refreshment you want with zero sugar. This is Sprite Zero Sugar. Obey your thirst.
Hello, everyone. Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to remind you that my book, Drummers on Drumming, is available now on Amazon as both a paperback and an ebook. Based on the Big Fat 5 segment of this podcast, where I sit down with my favorite drummers to discuss the 5 records and stories that shaped their approach to the instrument, this book is packed with insights from the drummers who redefined how we think about the modern drum set. You can grab your copy now by checking the link in this episode's show notes or simply searching Drummers on Drumming on Amazon. So thank you for all the support, and now let's get into the show. Well, I'm back with Eric Urrea and Gunnar Olsen. We got the dream team, so thanks for being here, guys.
Yep.
Thank you for having me.
Eric just drove, 10 hours to be here, and Gunnar's not even part of the podcast anymore. He's walking away.
Closing the window.
Yeah. To start off, I want to ask you guys a few specific questions. So when it comes to like categorizing your gigs and kind of holds and just show dates in general, what do you guys use to make sure that everything that comes in is on your radar, it's written down, so there's no overlap?
I kind of live and die by my iPhone calendar. That and my Excel spreadsheet that keeps track of all my gigs and income coming in and out. So I'm not an Excel whiz by any means. But those two things are like, okay, we're confirmed, locked in,
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Gunnar?
I have just a good old fashioned GCal that I have on my phone and my computer. I just put in holds, and then I have like a note in my notes app. I have like a money owed section. I don't actually do it that frequently like that. It's more like if it's been a few weeks, I put it in there, and it's the people I'm like hounding for money, so I don't forget to keep hounding them. I don't have to hound everybody, but it's like it's more just like to remind myself, because I'll forget sometimes, which is.
There's always like a crossover point where I feel like, okay, I kind of have to pay the idiot tax on this one, and it's been like 2 months, can't reach out now.
Oh, really? Have you? If you don't reach out, you just forget about it?
It depends on the situation. Like for me, it's mostly with like students. Like sometimes a student will forget to like Venmo me for the week, and I don't want to be like, 3 lessons later, by the way, you owe me like $150 for the past 3 lessons or something. So I want to stay on top of it. So,
oh, dude, I would go back 5 years to collect $3. I have no shame in that.
I should.
How quickly do you guys send in? I'm really bad at sending invoices where like I've waited like a month to send an invoice just because like I know I have to do it, but there's a part of me that's like, it's almost like school or work. So I put it off. And then I have this weird thing where I'm like, well, the longer I wait to do it, it's just going to come in later, which means like 2 months from now, I'll have money coming in. It's almost like I'm setting up a way to like have guaranteed money a little further down the road.
It's a savings account.
So seen.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Yeah, I've had a few people be like, why did you wait 2 months to invoice like a $400 gig? And I was like, I don't know.
I would say my motivation is pretty good when it comes to getting money. So I do it probably the day after a tour just to get it going. I also have then like a notes app that says show dates that is just so I can look it up if someone is texting me instead of going through it's just easier to see. It's more of it makes me feel less sad if I go to that note and that page is nice and long as opposed to just a calendar that I can't really immediately see like how busy I'm going to be. Although lately that calendar, that little page is not that long. So when you have a day, at what point do you guys allow a day to be full and be like, I'm not going to add anything more on that day? Like if you have a rehearsal, will you not go say yes to this 3-hour gig that, you're going to have to do some writing for someone or something?
For me, I don't have that foresight ever. I'll just be like, let's go for it. And then I'll be like, why did I do this to myself? even this weekend, I was just in Tampa for a few days, and then I came home for like 12 hours and then drove to Nashville. And I was like, why did I do that? I should have had some separation. I'm the wrong person to ask about that one. I just kind of go for it. And then I do try to parse out my days. So like in an ideal world, I'll try to schedule like all of my lessons on a day or a couple days. And like, I will try my hardest not to do like a bunch of lessons and then a rehearsal. I'll kind of like if I'm thinking about the next week, I'll be like, that's my rehearsal day. And then these are lesson days. But it usually never really pans out that way, or I'm not thinking that far ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had this thing recently where I've been playing these holiday gigs every year with this artist, Rob Mathis, and I knew we were doing Thursday. I thought we were doing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And so I turned down like a big kind of corporate gig for that Friday. And then like a week before I realized I'm actually only doing Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'm free the Friday. But I knew that Saturday I had to rent. I don't have a car, so I knew I had to rent a car, drive my drums about an hour outside the city. But the gig that I subbed out the Friday that now I was like, oh, I could actually maybe do that gig, was down in DC area. So it would have meant like, going to a gig that's like 5 hours away or so from New York with that band, and they'll get me there. I don't have any gear for like that gig's backlined, but it would have meant presumably sleeping over after the gig. Like a gig's going to go to midnight, waking up in DC, getting back to New York, renting a car, driving and then at that point I was like, I would have had to rent my own car to leave DC and like leave at like 5 a.m. the next day. And it was just like, yeah, it would have been, the money would have been nice for that day, but it would have immediately been like a really stressful day.
Mm-hmm.
And also at that point, like it had been subbed out. And like, I feel like once it's been subbed out, at least it had probably been subbed out for a month. And like, I'm not going to go back and like, hey, I'm available, like take the work away from this guy, So it's like, It wasn't really even mine to get back, but there was a part of me like, oh, is there a way I could like do it? And yeah, I think similar to Eric, I will kind of overwork myself if it does, as long as like travel's not involved, as long as I'm not, if I'm flying back from somewhere, like say like I'm flying back from the West Coast, and so it's like, oh hey, can you do a night session? And I know I'm flying back, and like it means like I'm gonna be stressed out all day. Like what time do I land? And I've done it, but the older I get, I just don't. That's kind of where I draw the line, is like, if I'm in the same place and I can do like hop a few things on and maybe say, hey, is there any way I can do this rehearsal an hour earlier so I can make sound check at this gig that I got? That feels like a decent thing to ask for. And usually is like, I like being busy. Like I like being busy in the sense where it's like doable busy. I love a day thing and a night thing. Like that's really fun.
Well, Gunnar, just so we can get the momentum going, let's get this hot take that you brought up. You told us that you want us to remind you, so here it is.
So I was at an event up here where I'm staying in Julian. It was kind of like a new hippie-ish, like it's the new year, let's celebrate. And people were like jamming, and like my girlfriend was like, oh, like they have some like extra drums and stuff. Do you want to like you go jam with the band? And I was like, no, like I didn't really want to do that. And then like I was talking to somebody how, obviously as a recording musician, I've plenty of times played bongos or congas, drums with my hands, but I don't know if I've ever really done it much like professionally, like in front of an audience. Like I'm a drummer and I have friends who are like percussionists, and I have like such respect for people that like that's their world, that like it's just a different instrument. So similar in this world, my hot take is if there's a band with a drummer and a live percussionist, the live percussionist should not have cymbals. I feel like it drives me up the wall when I see a band, and it could be a great fucking percussionist. They have stuff they're doing with their hands and sticks. Maybe they're doing like claves, cowbells, chimes, like Beltry, whatever. But the second like you get to the chorus and then the percussionist is also hitting like an EFX crash, I'm just like, no, like if I'm playing a gig with a live percussionist, I won't have a cowbell and you don't have a cymbal. I mean, there are some situations where like maybe you're in a band where like the drummer has a cowbell on his kit and that's like part of the thing. And maybe like there is a little crossover, but I won't have like a side conga and you won't have a crash cymbal or a splash cymbal. Let me do that part of the sound and you do this part of the sound. And together we create a sound. And I'm sure there's a few examples that I would probably say like, that's awesome. Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I feel like I've just been seeing it more like on Instagram where like I'm getting served like percussionists on big tours. And that probably makes sense where you're like, I don't know, like maybe you're like, I'm assuming Lady Gaga has a percussionist and like, yeah, at that point you probably want to crash because you want to like, you know, but I'm talking more like smaller level gigs at clubs where you're hearing the actual drums in the room, you know, plus the mics, but it's not all mic'd up. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like just stay out of the drum set lane and like play do your job, you know, like play your instrument and I'll play my instrument. And yes, there's exceptions to the rule, but I just feel like I see it a lot now. And it's just like, I see a lot of these guys really bashing on like, yeah, I just don't like it. That's my hot take. I don't like it.
I'm here for it. That's great. I'd say the exceptions are only like a Latin percussion section or a stack. I'll allow a stack.
Yes, something that's like percussive.
Yes, short.
What do you think, Ben?
I think it'd be fun if the percussionists had only cymbals and that was their job to elevate the song when it needs to, but then I just had toms and like a hi-hat.
That's
interesting.
See,
yeah.
That would work. Yeah, like I've been seeing like the footage of David Byrne on tour, and he's kind of done it the last few tours where the drum set is piecemealed almost like a marching band where everybody has like their instrument. And that's really cool too. But yeah, it's like when you're like double crashes on stuff, it's like, what is the point? Everyone on stage already hates crash cymbals. Like the only people that like crash cymbals are drummers. Like
and even half the time I hate it.
Yeah, vocalists hate them. Sound guys hate them. Yeah, maybe if you're doing like some like serious like Latin percussion stuff, but I feel like even like the real OGs of that don't have a bunch of like crash cymbals.
Yeah. And the real OGs don't even have a drum set player, so it's
right. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be fun to have like you're the cymbal player. And it's like even if they don't even have drums, they just have like they're standing around like 7 different moods of cymbals and you're just supposed to hold it down. That'd be fun.
Yeah, or like I've always wanted to be in a band where there's 2 drummers, but nobody has the same stuff on each kit. Maybe someone's playing the higher stuff like hi-hat, snare, cymbals, and someone's playing toms and kick. Because that's another pet peeve. Like when you see these like super groups with 2 drummers and they're both just kind of both playing the beat, it's like, why? Why are you doing that? Like, why not approach it like, I'm going to cover this and you cover that, and then the 2 of us, we create this big sound.
Yeah. Later in the band's career, I think even in the last waltz, you have 2 drummers. Obviously, Levon's in the front, and then you have Radiohead.
The Radiohead stuff I've seen, it was when they added Clive from Portishead, who's one of my favorite drummers.
Yeah.
And the stuff I've seen of them, they're playing 2 different things kind of at once.
Okay.
Like there is a bit of crossover because it's a drum set, but it was pretty like one guy's doing the busier thing, maybe like, or like playing like the pad and a hi-hat or, but yeah, when it's like 2 guys playing like butt rock beats and like, and the biggest thing they do is like, I play the hi-hat, but you play the ride, but you're playing the same beat. It's like, that sucks too. That's even worse.
If you guys could choose a drummer that you could be on stage with and have like a little back and forth with, who do you think that would be?
Ooh, that's honestly terrifying to even think about.
I'd be curious just to elevate my playing and I'd learn so much would be just to be on stage with Brian Blade. I guarantee I would come out a better drummer after just reacting or him reacting to me, and his counter melodies would be the thing that would be way better than what I was doing. Yeah, I think I'd learn a lot as a drummer.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, Radiohead would be fun. I mean, I've seen them do it. Like I would be up for that role. I would be down for that.
Would you do it if they said you can do it, but you have to be bald?
Yeah,
Seems like that's the MO.
Yeah. That was what's so great about that tour too. Like it looked like there was two of them.
It was they were part of like the lighting setup.
Yeah.
Basically, they would just shine and it would go.
I would request I could do a bald cap first, like if we could make it really realistic.
Maybe Steven Drozd from Flaming Lips. I feel like that would just be fun to be on stage with that energy.
Well, a lot of it also depends on the music, right? Like some music, It's kind of like, are you just kind of doubling things? I feel like a band like TV on the Radio would be kind of cool.
Absolutely.
They have so many like layered things or.
Well, I'll make it more specific to you then, Gunnar. Who would you want to be on stage with Puscifer?
Well, we have a new record coming out, plug, called Normal Isn't. It's the first record I'm on like a bunch of it. I think I'm on like 7 of 10 songs or something. And most of the songs on the record have 2 drum set parts. So at one point, they've played with Sarah Jones, who you've had on your podcast, has done a bunch of recording with it. She's on a few of the songs. And so at one point, I think there was an idea that live we would maybe try to like both do it. And then for whatever reason, when we put together the live version of the show, it's just me. So we kind of figured out a way to kind of, I mean, it's never really too many things at once that I can't do it all. We just kind of figured out a way to do it with just one kit. But I mean, like, I've never met Sarah. Like when that was a possibility, I was thinking I would love to do that with her. But yeah, then like I started thinking like, oh, what if they want to do it, but she's not available? And like I started thinking of like my friends, and I'm like, well, I want somebody who I know can do it, but also like they can't be better than me. So you gotta choose wisely.
Well, that's kind of like just planning for a sub as well.
I had that dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn, and I hire wrong. So then I'm doing IT, and when I go to plug the servers in, they become sentient, and they won't let us access our network unless we forward their chain emails and memes to more and more and more people, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant finds and invites best fit candidates to apply, so you can discover talent you may have missed. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
Año Nuevo. Los mismos Extra Value Meals en McDonald's. Ahora te puedes llevar 2 snack wraps y papitas y una bebida mediana por solo $8. Solo por tiempo limitado. Precios y participación pueden variar. Los precios pueden ser más altos en Hawaii, Alaska y California y con entrega.
What about you and Marina City, Eric?
Man, this is such an interesting question because I feel like my brain, like I would want somebody who would approach the drum kit kind of like a percussionist, if that makes sense. Oh, what's her name? Is it Philo? Philo Chungi?
Yeah. Oh, Philo Chungi.
Yeah. I'm such a fan of her playing, and her approach is so interesting and different. Someone like that would be like an immediate, or frankly, even someone like Gunnar. Gunnar's a super creative,
You can say Gunnar.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Gunnar.
Someone like Gunnar.
I would say Gunnar.
There's some things I would change, but someone Gunnar adjacent.
Well, Gunnar would steal my gig. He would.
I don't know, man. I can't flip sticks.
That's the one thing I got going for me.
But this just pops into my mind. So you mentioned Philo, who's playing with Mars Volta now.
Yeah.
What if you could pick a band? I mean, they jumped out to mind. Like,
yeah.
I used to love the Mars Volta with John Theodore. What if, like, are there bands that have had different drummers that, like, it's like, oh, what if there's a show and then both Philo and John Theodore played, right? Or, like, are there other bands we can think of that have had different drummers? Because they would probably complement each other really well.
Oh, big time.
They're so different. Are there bands that have had different drummers and people can like different versions, and it'd be like, oh, what would it be like? I didn't think it out enough to have an answer.
Well,
I mean,
Mars Volta is such an interesting one in particular because all of the drummers are so radically different.
And there's so much room on those songs that like you could split up the kit and almost have people play like, could almost split the parts up.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
I mean, to me, it'd be really interesting to see Pete Best If there's a way for Pete Best to play with Paul McCartney right now and just kind of throw back just for the fun of it, and Ringo comes out and they do like a little, and then maybe Greg Bissonette could show up and people would be happy. But
have Abe and Ringo ever played together with Paul?
I think so. I think there was a time. I think it was like, I'm thinking back to maybe 2 or 3 years ago at like Dodger Stadium. I think that Ringo came out for a second and played.
I mean, that would be really cool to see.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
They're so different, you know, but they both play the gig really well.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, you could do that with Jack White's band.
Oh, for sure. I mean, doesn't he do that?
You
sometimes?
could. Well, I mean, I was gonna say you could have like Carla. What's her last name?
Azar.
Yeah, you could have her and like Daru Jones at the same time. That would be pretty wild.
I would love to see that.
Well, this can't happen, but I'd like to see Neil Peart and Annika Nielsen. That'd be fun to have them do some stuff behind Rush.
Have they done stuff yet with her yet? Like, has that happened yet?
I don't think so.
I think they announced him for later this year, but
I'm admittedly not a huge Rush fan, but I think bringing her into the mix, like, it makes me want to hear Rush.
Same.
She makes Odd Time Signatures sound so musical. I love it so much. She's so fucking good.
Yeah, she's one of those examples. Like, I've had a lot of dads of people I know come up to me recently who are like Rush fans and are like, "Had you heard of that girl who's playing with Rush?" You know, like they say it almost a little like condescendingly. I'm like, yes, she's a badass. The whole drumming community knows she's fucking awesome, and she's gonna make them sound really good. Because
that's gonna be nuts.
I mean, she's great.
Well, she was playing with Jeff Beck before he died.
I didn't know that.
She was his last drummer. Yeah.
I was gonna add in that same vein. I saw King Crimson a few years ago, and I think they're going back out on tour, and they had 3 drummers, and it was unbelievable. It was like, Gavin Harrison, Pat Masalato, and
Bill Rieflin was there for a little bit as well.
Yeah.
He produced 2 records I was a part of up in Seattle, and that dude, I mean, rest in peace. He was one of the coolest, most dark humor, driest, like, you don't think he likes you at first, but then after a while you're like, oh, this is my favorite person, because he's just so dry and dark, and an amazing drummer. He played with like REM, he played with the Blackouts, he played with Ministry for a while. Yeah.
Eric, how much part overlap was there?
It was a lot. And well, let me rephrase. It was a lot in terms of like they were all playing at the same time the whole show. It wasn't like I'm going to take a back seat, but it also wasn't like we're playing the same thing the whole way through. But it like they opened the show with this really cool like drum solo moment where they kind of like traded and then would play these intricate parts. But it's like it was again very orchestrated, like a new music percussion ensemble type deal. It was really cool.
Well, this might be too big of a question, but what's the next thing that scares you guys in your career? Because Gunnar, obviously, you have accomplished, not that Eric hasn't, but you've accomplished recently a lot, and you've played on some of the coolest stages with some of the coolest people. What's the next thing that actually is like, fuck, that's scary, that makes you want to do it?
I mean, I've been doing this holiday gig the last few years that like everybody else in the band is like reading music, and I'm lucky enough to get the music ahead of time and like memorize it. But it spans the gamut of like pop songs, big band songs, and there's like an 8-piece horn section, Latin music. Like it's a lot of genres with like really heavy cats. And I've done it 4 years in a row now. And like this year, like the last couple of years, I've felt like it's the kind of thing where like the first year I did it, I was like, are you sure you want me on this gig? And the artist, who's also this very established musical director who I met doing the Bruce Springsteen record I did, he's like, no, I want you here because I want you. I want your voice on this. Which and he had a lot of confidence in me. But like at the end of the day, if you're playing a big band song like a Count Basie, it's like a Count Basie style version of a Christmas song, right? But like his name's Rob Mathis, and he's an incredible arranger. So he's doing like really specific, very true to form Count Basie style arrangements of like, you know, I forget what song it was, but like, yeah, I can be me for the most part, a lot of stuff, but like, I really have to like go back to like going to college for jazz, which I knew I was never going to like do as a profession. And my favorite part of playing going to conservatory was like, I played in the big band at my college. And that was like the closest I ever felt to like a version of me playing jazz. Cause you have this huge band and it's like, you can really it's like the one time you can really like channel like Buddy Rich and just like hit the fuck out of the drums.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I can swing all right, but it's doing it with like, Will Lee's playing bass and like, it's all these like horn players who like play all these Broadway shows and are on tour with like Sting and like all this stuff. So it's like, it's hard to not have a bit of imposter syndrome because it's kind of like amongst like a 20 song set playing like 3 jazz songs I can do. And I feel pretty good, but since I'm not playing it as much as I play other styles of music, it's out of my comfort zone. So I feel like what I love about that gig is every year I have this like 2 weeks of really shedding and like everyone else is reading it. And like, I can read music, but I know how much more comfortable I am if I can memorize stuff.
Do you still have the sheet music though? Because I know you say that that's how you do things. You don't chart things out and have them. It's like you like to memorize it, but do you have the charts that?
I think he never even sent me the music because that was the plan. So I mean, like I feel like I do that once a year, and it's always like that's the thing once a year. I mean, not once a year, but like that's the thing that kind of like has kept me on my toes the last few years. After I get off like a big like tour with the bands I play in and like feel like a rock star. So like I feel like that's the quickest answer to like what scares me, which I think was the question. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, then there's like the other answer, just like I have a tour in the spring, and then after that, I'm like, I don't know, right? So that never goes away.
What does that feel like?
But I'm also excited for that because there's a bunch of stuff I've been putting off because, like, we were talking last time I talked with you guys. I just submitted the last song for that YouTube project I was doing, where I was making all these songs. Like we did like 85 songs in 3 months, and I just literally uploaded my last song today. So I have a bit more like, I don't have my feet to the fire with anything. The next thing on my horizon is the Puscifer tour. We're going to start rehearsals in like a month. So until then, I'm just casually like listening to the songs. So I'm not like cramming them. And so like, but part of me is excited. Like when I get off that tour, I mean, hopefully there'll be some stuff for the rest of the year, but I also am kind of looking forward to that thing. Like you guys were talking on your last podcast about, thinking you might do something and now you have the opportunity to do whatever. And I'm really looking forward to that, but it also scares me. It's like, I also don't want to just be, until I was in Puscifer, and I do a lot of recording stuff and I still feel pretty, drummer for hire, like in the bigger scheme of things. But there is a part of me like, oh, like, am I going to still tour with other bands, or am I just going to kind of do work for artists when I'm not on tour? Ideally, like there'd be some kind of cool band that would hit me up to do a tour. I like doing like mid-level, like smaller kind of like you really feel the room kind of thing. But I mean, yeah, if someone hit me up to do a world arena tour, like sign me up. So I don't know. It's kind of exciting right now to not know what's happening after May, but it's also a little terrifying.
Well, it's interesting because I also kind of fear the opposite scenario. It's like musical commitment issues, So like there's some like kind of mid-level gigs where it's like, it's not the dream musical scenario for me, but it's like cool and I'm excited to do it as long as like one of my passion projects doesn't get some crazy offer in that time. So that's kind of the thing that keeps me up at night. If someone was like, some kind of like up and coming work in progress band was like, hey, I want to bring you on for the next year and a half. And then it's like, but also want to see some things through with like some of the original projects. So that kind of like commitment is a weird, scary thing for me, which is ironic because I'm in the same spot as Ben right now, where it's like, I only have X amount of days on my calendar.
Right. Well, then there's also things like if you have a partner, or you're dating someone, they're like, hey, I want to go on this vacation in October. It's pretty far away. And it's like, yeah, let's do that. And then in the back of my mind, I'm like, is there going to be another leg of the tour announced, or like, and a lot of that comes down to like just the relationship you have with that person, and like understanding, like, I don't want to like not say yes to things because I might get a gig that doesn't exist.
Yes.
But what happens if the gig comes? Like, that's that stuff never gets easier, but it also, you also want to like live life with the people you love. And
man, that's so refreshing to hear, because that's literally like right now my wife and I are talking about like doing a vacation in like late June for like 2 weeks, and I'm like, June is tough, it's like like, my sister's going, and it'd be like a whole thing, and it's like that's a super real thing. And
well, the good news is that the second you book the non-refundable ticket, you will get a tour.
That's what I'm saying. I know if I don't go, nothing's gonna happen, but if I do go, yeah, it's exactly right. But it's honestly kind of refreshing to hear that it never gets easier.
When it comes to your personal value of yourself, how do you still maintain like a day-to-day, like things are going to be okay, when very rarely do we know more than 6 months in advance? It's just, I've been having a lot of, not even financially sustainable, but just how sustainable is how I've been doing it the last 6 years, which is just hoping that someone calls, or hoping there's another leg of the tour, hoping insert whatever here. It doesn't matter how diligent I am with calling people and making sure they know that I'm available. Right. How sustainable is it to just be, got to keep my head up until it comes, and then hopefully I'll figure something out in between, So I don't even know what the question is there, but do you guys, I mean, you guys both have partners that seemingly are very supportive and are probably a good, person to have in your corner, but yeah, how do you guys find to stay happy and motivated when all that existential dread comes on?
I might have said this on a previous episode, but the kind of reassuring thing that someone said to me that I've been kind of sticking with lately is the opportunities that you have right now are because of the work that you put in a year ago. And to me, it's like, I just try to keep focused on like the amount of work I did last year. It has to bear fruit at some point. It has to kind of, I'm sure that there's naivety in there. I mean, maybe I should be more intense and pragmatic about it, and I'm throwing too much caution to the wind, but it's like keeping the faith for me, where it's just like, I just got to keep my head down and something's going to happen.
Just do the work. Just every day become a better drummer than you were before. And hopefully, I mean, I know a lot of it sounds cliche and kind of Tony Robbins-esque, but it is true. Make the decision that it's going to be fine and just fucking figure it out.
Well, I was listening to a podcast today, which was super interesting. It was like a chess grandmaster getting interviewed. And he was talking about how, like, if you really buckle down and like put the work into any field, you can get to the top 1% of the people who do that thing, But at a certain point, it's like, are the lifestyle sacrifices worth getting to that point, And for me, it's like, we've all put in the work. When you think about how many drummers there are, like, so few people even get to call this a profession, It's probably safe to say that anyone who does this professionally is in the top 1%. So it's kind of refreshing to think like, okay, it really does work. If I really do just sit here and like dedicate my life and time to this craft that I love, that like it does happen. Yes, there's luck and circumstances that need to be involved, but like work does pay off.
Well, I do want to pose a question to you guys that I asked. I had Mark Stepro and Chris on. By the time people are listening to this, it will be last week's episode. And I want to know your guys' take on it. And they kind of took it in a certain way, as if who they are today. But I'm going to ask it for you guys. So say you were a 22-year-old kid that just graduated, maybe not even graduated college, just a young guy. You don't really know anyone in a big city. And day one, what would you do if you were thrust back into, you don't have any gigs, you're in a big city? Because I do get that question a lot, and I don't know the answer, because when I was doing that, this was 10 years ago, and Instagram wasn't as big of a thing. I guess it was in 2016 when I moved here, but maybe it's an easy answer. Just go out and meet people. But what would you guys do?
Something else. No.
Well, yeah.
I think it's tough because I've had drummers ask me that. They were like, I want to play gigs, or I want to play sessions, and I want to move to New York. What should I do? And I feel like in the past, my answer was like, there's certain clubs that have a built-in scene of musicians who play there all the time. So like the easy answer is like, find the clubs that are like, it's not a touring band every night. It's like like I have friends who are playing gigs every night of the week at like 2 or 3 different places, and all the same guys play at all those places. And
even today, that's still happening today.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're just out there hustling, and they'll call me like, hey, this guy fell through on a Wednesday night gig. Can you do it? So it's like a tip money, maybe $150 gig that if that was my life, I would have to really hustle. You'd have to do it. But I'm in fortunate enough position where if I get called to do that, I'm just like, fuck yeah, I would rather go play music and hang out with my friends for the night than just like be home. Mm-hmm. But in those situations, it's very much like you play a song and then this guy shows up who just played this other gig, and then we let him play a song on drums. And if you can find kind of like a local place where there is a musician scene and you can meet people, but not be too networky. But it's all about like if people can hear you play, know you're a good hang and can see that you play. But that's such a very specific thing. Like, I don't know if there's one of those places in every town. Like New York has a lot of. I mean, New York, in my mind, has a dying music scene, but it's still there because it's still a city of 8 million people who want to go see music every night. So like, it can't fully die. But a lot of the places I would have sent people to 5 years ago have closed. So it's like, yeah, it's getting harder and harder. And yeah, you got to network, but at the end of the day, people need to play with you. Yeah, it's like, how do you get heard by people? Because you can't just be like, hey, like, I'm a great drummer. Do you mind if I sit in on a song? Yeah. But if you've like, maybe you go 3 or 4 weeks in a row and you're a good hang, and like you've mentioned you played, and then you might be like, oh, do you want to play? You hear that story all the time. Like some podcast I was just watching, like some big famous drummer was just like, oh, it was Carter McLean. He was like, he met somebody and they like called him to, he met somebody and they like let him play a song, or I think it was Carter. If not, we can edit it out. I don't know. Yeah, it's social media does help in the sense that like, yeah, if I meet you at a gig, we had a nice conversation. You mentioned you're a drummer. If we had enough of a good hang that like you follow me and I follow you back, and I see that you play, like maybe there's some, and I see that like, oh, you play in a cover band, and like if I'm playing a gig that like, there's a scenario where I'm like, well, this guy's good, but again, it's like the answer is I don't fucking know, Ben.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know.
Well, and I know that there's something to be said about, well, you can just build an audience on Instagram and then break through that way. Sure, but there are a lot of times where there's audition cattle calls or just like texts going around in LA that I'm a part of, and one of the stipulations is like preferably LA based or preferably whatever, because you can be as famous as you want or like have 100, 200,000. But at MD, when they see like a bunch of people that are about the same, they see, well, this person, there has to be a flight there. We have to make them, you have to put them up in a hotel. A lot of times, unless they really do want that drummer, they'll just go with the person that's local. And so I do think that even though with Instagram and it's being whatever, you do still kind of have to be in a big city, even in 2026. I think it's so much, I don't want to say easier because what the hell does that mean? But you know what I mean? It makes more sense to like I have people reaching out, and I hope maybe he'll even listen to this, but he lives in like Northern California and sweetly reached out and was asking for advice. But it's like, you live in a small town so far away from anything. Like any advice I would give you about what you should do, you have to be in a big city in order to do all the things I would then tell you to do, Yeah,
you have to move towards the work. But then you have these people, you have drummers who they actually don't seem to have any interest in playing live. They want to like essentially be an influencer on the drums, and those drummers are now getting signed by endorsement companies and like getting put more forward than like drummers in bands a lot of the time. I'm noticing.
But what does that even mean these days? Like, I mean, that's great, and I know obviously be on the cover of Modern Drummer or the face of a certain like a campaign for a company, a brand, but it's like, who cares? Like, no one gets paid for like, no one, maybe back in the day they would pay you and then you'd go on the clinic tours and you promote the brand, but like, even if you get free cymbals or free drums, it's like that doesn't pay the bills. Like, who cares? But I mean, the Instagram thing. I mean, I know Eric has said this ad nauseum in a good way, but it's like that is a career, that is a path. And that's all. If that's what you want to do, hell yeah.
I mean, to be fair, it's like it's similar to like art for art's sake kind of thing, you know, where it's like it's not what I would do, but it's cool that somebody's doing it. Like, I love Dillinger Escape Plan. That's not for everybody, you know. But no, it's I would say like social media is like a big obvious answer to the original question of like where to start, because it's like such a great business card for you to have. It's the easiest thing to point to if you make any kind of connection and you're like, hey, look, this is what I do, and you know.
But I would also say it's also getting so oversaturated that I don't think you can depend on it to kind of get you gigs, which maybe I feel like maybe 5 years ago, I don't know about like you mentioned 2016, like, you know, everyone's posting all this stuff from 2016.
Yeah.
It makes me think like how simple the drum community on Instagram was then, right? Like, there were only so many people posting videos that were like watchable, and a community like formed really quickly, and it was really like, it was fun. It was like, it made me want to like post stuff like once a week, a couple times a week. And now it's like, who's even seeing this stuff? Or a fraction of the people that follow me seeing this stuff. So yeah, it comes down to like, have a social media that it can be a calling card. So like, you meet somebody and you give them your Instagram, they can go and see a representation of what you play, but it's not enough. It's not going to be enough.
Yeah. The first thing I would say to kind of, I guess it would be a blend of both you guys. If someone's like say they reach out to me because they view me as some sort of authority with the podcast and like on Instagram, and they're like, what do you think I should do? I'm trying to get gigs. And I go to their page and it's just pictures. I'm like, well, there you go. You know, like, what are you doing here?
Or even like, it's just like drum covers, or, you know, someone doing stick tricks in their basement. You know, it's like that doesn't showcase what you are on the gig. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I don't know though. Cause I mean, most of my stuff, I mean, I definitely have some Eve 6 stuff on there, but I don't think drum covers are the worst. I think if you can do it in a way that showcases, I mean, like Neil Daniels said, post for the gig you want. So, I mean, if you're trying to make it as a drummer and be impress other drummers enough, sure. And this is for people that are listening. I don't think it's a bad idea to just find a few songs that really showcase what you do well, and it's the kind of style of music you want to get hired for, and just maybe put some energy into doing 3 really cool covers, even if it's just what the song is, you know, because that's what MDs want to see, that you want to play the song. And I think even that's good enough. And maybe I'm saying that to convince myself because I only have like 4 videos. I think it's perfect.
Well, the Neil Daniels thing is exactly the right idea. It's posting for the gig you want. And I think it's like social media, like it's really transparently obvious when social media for some people is the end versus a means to an end, you know?
Yeah.
Like for me, I try to be really conscious that social media is a means to an end, and that people will be like, oh, this is like the thing that he does so he can do this other thing, which is like the real deal. But I actually think that the interesting answer is that if someone's moving to a new city and they're trying to get involved in something, what I think is really interesting is that drummers are so community based. I mean, just looking at the volume of drummers there are on Instagram, or you know, there's so many drum podcasts, you know, it's
easy.
Like, well, no, I just mean,
Jesus, dude.
I feel like other instrument players always are like, drummers always like seem to like each other and like seem to kind of like champion each other, where my instrument, there's more competition or something. I don't know. I've heard multiple times from non-drummers that they see that we kind of, and I wonder if some of that is like, we are rarely, I mean, I guess there could be a competitive nature to get a gig, but whenever I see, like, I don't get to play with drummers, right? Mm-hmm. So I have all these friends and I go see them, but like, I don't get to, it's a very specific kind of friendship where like, I get to go see them. They come see me. Maybe they sub for me. Maybe I sub for them. But we're never playing music together. If you're a guitarist, you could be on a gig with another guitarist. Like, I wonder if that somehow plays into it.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like drummers don't hire drummers, obviously, but drummers I do think are a good gateway into a scene or into getting hired. You know, it's like you can start in that sub position for someone that you become friends with, and then it's like, oh, I trust this person to sit behind the kit for me when I'm gone. You know.
Whoever this 22-year-old kid is, I think we should just tell him to not bother. I think that's how we should end this episode.
He's been the fourth person on mute this whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to get to you in 1 minute, Brandon.
And that's the show. If you're listening on a platform that allows ratings and reviews, do that. It helps more people find the show, so it'll get bigger and better, and hopefully I'll have a chance to sell out one day. But you'll be an OG listener that can brag to all your friends. Anyways, why don't you go and check us out at bigfatsnaredrum.com and follow us on all the socials. Just search for Big Fat Snare Drum, and you will find us. The show is edited in part using iZotope RX Audio Editor. It's amazing, so go check that out at iZotope.com. And thanks again to Gunnar Olsen for the theme music. Bye!
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.